I'm going to need some help with the lessons tonight. And with the sermon too, for that matter. Whom can I ask? Who knows the story? I see a young lady in front of me. Perhaps you want to help me tell the story tonight. Would you be willing to do that with me, Lauren? Excellent. Okay. I'll make sure we put extra anchovies on your pizza on Sunday. If you needed to get out of this building, which door would you use, Lauren? How do you know that that door is going to take you outside the building? Maybe this door will take you outside the building. Maybe that door will take you outside the building. How do you know which door will take you outside the building? Perhaps there's a sign that would tell you. What sign could we use? I don't know. What sign? The exit sign. What does the word exit mean? To go out. The kid's a prodigy. Okay. The word exit comes from the same word that is the name of our first lesson. Exodus. The Exodus is the story of the going out. Do you remember who the people were that were going out, Lauren? Were they the Italians? No. The French? No. The Hebrews? Yes, it was the Hebrews. Okay? And the Hebrews were going out from Riverside. No, that's not right either. Where were they coming from? Egypt. Yes, they were in Egypt. Okay? Who's the guy that led them out of Egypt? Is Moses. Yes, very good. I thought you were going to say, I took him out of the water, which was actually Moses' name in Egyptian, because his mother, the princess, found him in a wicker basket floating in the water. She took him out of the water and said, I will name him, I took him out of the water. No. Yes, she did. Much like our own Native Americans take names for their children based on nature, what they see around them. Running deer, lone bear, things like that. In this case, God had to persuade the Egyptian king, and what was he called? The Pharaoh. Yes, the Pharaoh, to let the people go. Can you remember some of the things Moses did to try and persuade the Pharaoh? I had an example of it when I got to church tonight. What's that? Yeah, there were all kinds of things God did. He sent a plague of locusts, the cattle died, the river was turned to blood, all sorts of yucky things. And then finally, God decided to play what goes around comes around. Because years before, the Egyptian Pharaoh was worried that the Hebrew people were becoming so many and so powerful, they might pose a threat to his crown. So he sent his troops into Goshen, which is the land where the Hebrews lived, and he had the troops slaughter the oldest male child in every family. On this particular night, Moses tells Pharaoh that the angel of death is going to go through the land of Egypt, and the oldest Egyptian in every family is going to die. What saved the Hebrew people, Lord? They killed a lamb and used its blood to paint the doorframe. And when the angel saw the blood, what did the angel do? It flew over, it passed over their houses. And in fact, from that day to today, every year the Jewish people celebrate Passover, which I believe is tomorrow night. And it runs for 8 days. So the Hebrew people celebrate Passover. And here's the story that they tell. It's recorded for us in the book of Exodus, chapter 12. The Lord said to Moses and Aaron in Egypt, "This month is to be for you the first month of your year. Tell the whole community of Israel that on the 10th day of this month, each man is to take a lamb for his family, one for each household. If any household is too small for a whole lamb, they must share one with their nearest neighbor, having taken into account the number of people there are. You are to determine the amount of lamb needed in accordance with what each person will eat. The animals you choose must be year-old males without defect, and may take them from the sheep or the goats. Take care of them until the 14th day of the month, when all the people of the community of Israel must slaughter them at twilight. Then they are to take some of the blood and put it on the sides and tops of the door frames of the houses where they eat the lambs. That same night they are to eat the meal, roasted over the fire, along with bitter herbs, and bread made without yeast. Do not eat the meat raw or cooked in water, but roasted over fire, head, legs, and inner parts. Do not leave any of it till morning. If some is left till morning, you must burn it. This is how you are to eat it, with your cloak tucked into your belt, your sandals on your feet, and your staff in hand. Eat it in haste. It is the Lord's Passover. On that same night, I will pass through Egypt and strike down every firstborn, both men and animals, and I will bring judgment on all the gods of Egypt. I am the Lord. The blood will be a sign for you on the houses where you are, and when I see the blood, I will pass over you. No destructive plague will touch you when I strike Egypt. This is the day you are to commemorate. For the generations to come, you shall celebrate it as a festival to the Lord, a lasting ordinance." Here ends the first lesson. Lord, once upon a time, there was a guy named Jesus. No. Yeshua. No, that's Hebrew. Joshua. That would be English, wouldn't it? Joshua. But we don't use the English form of the Hebrew name. We use the English form of the Greek name for this guy. Jesus. Jesus was out for a stroll. And he passes by a supermarket, right? No. The mall. He was going for Dippin' Dots at the mall. No. Where was he with all that water? The River Jordan. And who was in the River Jordan? His cousin, John. John was baptizing, reminding people that they had disobeyed God and needed to show God how sorry they were for what they had done. Kind of like you slugging Ignatz because he was calling, Lauren is a stupid head, Lauren is a stupid head. You got in trouble for that, didn't you? If you're wondering, she didn't actually slug him and he never said that. I was just making that up. It's part of our story today. John sees Jesus and he points to him and he says, "Behold, the Lamb of God who takes away the sin of the world." We realize that Jesus came into this world to go to detention for us. Because if Lauren does actually call Ignatz a stupid head or slugs him for calling her a stupid head, you got to stand on the number in the playground and you don't get recess. or you have to go sit at the table in the lunchroom. My question to you earlier today, can you imagine Miss Reiner? Is that her name? Miss Reiner, your teacher? Standing on the number so you can go play at recess? Or sitting at the lunch table so you can play? Your teacher taking your detention? That would be like you breaking something that belongs to your grandma. And she says, you're going to get a spanking for this. But your mom says, no, she's my daughter, I love her, spank me instead. And your grandma says, well, that would be a first. Jesus takes our punishment. And the night before he did that, he was celebrating Passover with his friends. And he took 2 of the ingredients from the Passover meal, some of the bread and a cup of wine. And he shared them with his friends and gave it new meaning. Not just celebrating independence from slavery in Egypt, but celebrating independence from sin. St. Paul wrote about that in our second lesson. It's from his first letter to the Corinthian congregation, chapter 11. For I received from the Lord what I passed on to you. The Lord Jesus, on the night he was betrayed, took bread, and when he had given thanks, he broke it and said, this is my body, which is given for you. Do this in remembrance of me. In the same way, after supper, he took the cup, saying, this cup is the new covenant. She's a genius kid. New covenant in my blood. Do this whenever you drink it in remembrance of me. For whenever you eat this bread and drink this cup, you proclaim the Lord's death till he comes. Let's stand as we read the gospel lesson. Lord, can you tell me some of the rules in your classroom? Now, honey, I'm like 115 years old, so you got to go a lot louder than that. Use your outdoor on the playground voice.
Be safe, be respectful.
That's your outdoor on the playground voice?
No.
Yes, be safe. Oh, the lunch lady is diving you out. She says you are a heck of a lot louder than that when you come through the lunch line.
Be safe.
Be safe.
Be responsible.
Be responsible.
Be respectful.
Be respectful. Beautiful, okay? What word do we use to describe God's rules for us? You and your mom together were able to name all 10 of them. The 10 commandments, right. A commandment is an instruction that you have to obey. Here's the story of Jesus giving us the 11th commandment. From the Gospel according to John, the 13th chapter, beginning at the first verse. It was just before the Passover feast. Jesus knew that the time had come for him to leave this world and go to the Father. Having loved his own who were in the world, he now showed them the full extent of his love. The evening meal was being served, and the devil had already prompted Judas Iscariot, son of Simon, to betray Jesus. Simon knew that the Father had put all things under his power, that he had come from God and was returning to God. So he got up from the meal, took off his outer clothing, and wrapped a towel around his waist. After that, he poured water into a basin and began to wash his disciples' feet, drying them with the towel that was wrapped around him. He came to Simon Peter, who said to him, Lord, are you going to wash my feet? Jesus replied, you do not realize now what I am doing, but later you will understand. Nope, 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 said Simon Peter. You shall never wash my feet. Jesus answered, unless I wash you, you have no part with me. Then, Lord, Simon Peter replied, not just my feet, but my hands and my head as well. Jesus answered, a person who has had a bath needs only to wash his feet, and his whole body was clean. And you are clean, though not every one of you. For he knew who was going to betray him. That's why he said, not everyone was clean. When he had finished washing their feet, he put on his clothes and returned to his place. Do you understand what I have done for you? He asked them. You call me teacher and Lord, and rightly so, for that is what I am. Now that I, your Lord and teacher, have washed your feet, you should wash one another's feet. I have set you an example that you should do what I have done for you. I tell you the truth. No servant is greater than his master, nor is a messenger greater than the one who sent him. Now you are to know these things, and you will be blessed if you do them. God is being glorified in him. And God will glorify the Son in himself, and will give glory at once. My children, I am with you only a little longer. You will look for me, and just as I told the Jews, I will tell you now, where I'm going, you cannot come. A new command I give you. Love one another. As I have loved you, so you must love one another. By this all will know that you are my disciples, if you love one another. This is the gospel of the Lord. Please be seated.